Good afternoon, friends. I think we heard Ms. Surbi, and the kind of the perspective she is given is very, very useful. But in my presentation, probably I would expose you all to some fact and figures. So let's talk about when we discuss about the financing part of it, the project or activity associated with we need to know much more in terms of the market potential and other parameters. So we all know this demand. I think since yesterday, you've been attending many, many technical sessions. Perhaps you would have already known, but let me still share some of the figures. Presently, we have a very almost a minuscule hydrogen, the production of almost 6 million metric ton. And out of which ammonia is 3 million metric tons, and the refining, these are the major two application of the hydrogen. I'm not discussing about the green, it's the total hydrogen. And 2030, which is a kind of a milestone, is being talked about. The next milestone because the whole mission is started in 2020, and then the government of India, the Prime Minister especially, they made many announcements for next 1 decade. So 2030, we hope to have the capacity of 25 million metric tons, and out of which the green hydrogen, the addition is going to be about 8 million metric tons. And the application expected is with steel, which is not being there presently. So 8 million metric tons steel, ammonia 9, which is already one of the existing uses. So this is on the demand side, and as we discussed, the next slide, please. Okay, it's there. Yeah. So current application, we have the fertilizers, chemical, and the refineries. But when we talk about the potential application, which is going to be the transport and the fuel cell buses, heavy commercial flights, and the shipping aviation is being the targeted. And for power, long-term energy storage, off-grid power system is another application which is being planned. And industry, steel and cement are being added. Fertilizer and the refineries are one of the existing uses. The next, can you just make it right, please? Yeah. One of the major limitation is about the cost of the hydrogen, as we all know, and there's the big limitation apart from the technology and the safety risk. So current production is, depending on the volume, is between 2.5 and $4 per kg. Then we have the transmission and storage and handling cost associated, which is $1.5. So total landed cost is 4 to 5.5 to somewhere around 4 to 5. And if the generation, it has a co-location, means where it's going to be used and it's produced, then we save on the transportation, then the cost is around $3.5 per kg. And by 2030, when we see the volumes are going to be high, and the kind of the work which is being done on technology, especially on electrolyzers. So we hope to have, and many companies have made a mission also, 1-1-1, within 1 decade, $1 and 1 kg of hydrogen. And this all is feasible, achievable, and then of course it would depend on the increase in the volume and the technology aspect of it. So if we compare hydrogen cost, the per kg with the natural gas without carbon capturing, the coal, natural gas, Then, of course, the hydrogen cost is far, far higher. And in order to be viable replacement of the existing, the fuel, mainly natural gas and the coal, with one target, then of course, green hydrogen is going to replace the other fuels. This is not working. Can you control it from that place? Next. Yeah, sorry. So the question comes, the why India should be investing. Is being talked about, the mission has been made, the policy has been rolled out, and many other initiatives are being taken. So three major the aspect. One is the energy and the food, the security, which is the self-reliance, one of the most important the aspect, and the decarbonization, of course. The green hydrogen can catalyze over 20% reduction in emissions through industrial decarbonization. And export potential. As the Prime Minister has also said in his mission that India is going to be export hub of the green hydrogen because of availability of the sunlight in abundance. So we are the privileged as a country that way. Next, please. So the expected investment of all the kind of the targets being set is expected to be $100 billion by 2030, and 70% of it is going to be for generating renewable energy power, and the rest is the hydrogen production and the storage related capital investment. Next, please. So if we make a quick comparison of the solar power and the green hydrogen in terms of the financial feasibility, where the main key parameters. So as of last year, 2021, the solar power industry, the capex has been $36 billion as against which the hydrogen 2030-31 is being targeted $160 billion. So, and if we look at the revenue and EBITDA, and we then make comparison between the solar power and the green hydrogen, so we find the green hydrogen, the capex oblique revenue is significantly lower than the solar power, so which is a plus point, good, the point in favor of green hydrogen, if we look at only the financial part of it. And the capex oblique EBITDA is again, though it is little higher than the solar power, but this is how it compares. Next, please. But why should any investor be investing in green hydrogen? Of course, green hydrogen investing now, while it is fraught with many risks, especially technological obsolescence, technological risk, as well as the cost of production. But anybody getting into it would have the early mover advantage. And when the risk is involved, then it is associated with a higher return as well. And with the increasing importance of the ESG, it would ensure that the project is sustainable, then the risk mitigation is there. And there are many other factors. Next, please. So generally, any project, the funding, we know it's generally the equity and debt. So here, even with the hydrogen, when we talk about the equity is available, means there are many energy-focused private equity funds and the climate investment funds and the corporates. So depending on the risk profile and they are on the plan, this is one of the key source. The debt availability is by public sector lenders, international bank, development financing. But in India, as of now, the situation is because there's hardly anything on ground as such, so nothing much can be said. But yes, these are the possible options. Sovereign green bond, the government has already made an announcement about this thing, and in due course of time, we'll have the funds reaching through this means as well as. And apart from this, FDI is another source. Next, please. So ESG is very important, like any other project, but especially for this thing. All the lenders and the investors, especially in the Western countries, in India also it has started. So a negative screening is done with respect to the means how the project would fare, the impact of the business on environment and the society especially, and governance of course is important. So independent, the power producers, they are giving a whole lot of importance to ESG. And because they all know the project is going to be high scrutiny of the lenders and investors, so they are getting themselves prepared. So ESG is another thing which like any other project, but especially green hydrogen or renewable energy, this is very, very important aspect. Next, please. There are many challenges the associated, as we have talked, some of them, the infrastructure readiness is again a big challenge. The gas pipeline, the transportation of the hydrogen, end user readiness, availability of the finance, though availability is there, but subject to the risk and return. And of course, fossil fuel supports a lot of job, and in any country, any new thing coming in, the one has to really consider the impact on the employment and all. Next, please. So public sector support is very imperative. To motivate and encourage the private investment, the government has to lend its supporting hand, and in terms of creating infrastructure and giving some the subsidy or PLI, like in United States, the government, I understand, is giving $3 per kg of hydrogen of the subsidy. So the initial support is very much required. And linking renewable projects with the green hydrogen and establishing the green hydrogen hubs, these are a couple of other supports. So now let me conclude. It's very clear that there is no alternate to green hydrogen to save the planet. So one can just imagine the kind of the potential it has. The another thing is financing is a big challenge. And why is one is incomparable the cost of production, which maybe in next 7-8 years it is expected to fall down. Technological, because right now it's rather immature stage, especially on the storage and the transportation. And the safety risk is another big factor. So 160 billion US dollar is expected, which is required by 2030. Mission 111 is imperative for the success of green hydrogen in India. And ESG integration with the entire value chain is a must. So this is also clear. And the public sector participation for developing infrastructure and providing other supports is also very important. So this is all from me. Thank you.